Hey everyone, and welcome. If you're new here, thanks for joining us. If you're not new here, you know that I'm doing something a little bit different than I usually do here. It's not my typical bowl blank. This is going to be turning some end grain, and it's a very large crack in here. So the first thing that I do after attaching the faceplate is remove most of the bark with a chisel. And this one was an interesting turn. It was taking the hard road for sure, but I hope it was worth it in the end. You can leave a comment down below and let me know. And if you're new here and haven't subscribed, please do so. It is free, and there's 1 to 2 new videos every week. As you can imagine, this wasn't very trued up from the get-go. Not only was it out of balance, but I was dealing with that large crack. But patience is the key here. Starting out with the Carter & Son bowl gouge. And this was probably not the right tool to start with. You'll see me in a minute switch to a different Carter & Son. There we go. To the roughing gouge. This worked much better to take off a lot more material at a time, or per pass anyway. At this point the lathe was only about 300 to 350 RPMs, so I kept turning it up as I could, and before it really got trued up, I think the highest RPM I got to was around 550. So making progress here, as you can see, but I still need to make this thing completely round. You're going to see a lot of material coming off. Switching back to the bowl gouge here, as you can see, I've started rounding the bottom corner, or the start of the curve. And on this one, I'm going to use a tenon instead of a mortise. I know that for those of you who watch me turn every week, I usually use a mortise, but the last 2 or 3 projects, for some reason, it just seemed to make more sense to use a tenon. And I'm glad I did on this one. As you can see, that crack is pretty big, and it goes all the way down to the bottom. But the bowl in, or the blank in, or on the faceplate and with the tailstock up, I felt like it was very secure. I wasn't worried about it cracking in half completely. Finalizing the tenon shape, and I have a lot more material to take off of the side. But I'm going to pour the resin first, and the resin that I picked is a translucent resin because I want to see some of the wood fibers in the resin. So using Total Boat 2-to-1 medium here with some translucent sky blue from Let's Resin. And that red tape you see there is called tuck tape. I will link it in the video description along with all the other tools and products that I use. Tuck tape is basically sheathing tape, and it's great for using with resin for this type of project. So still pulling out the roughing gouge a little bit here. And back to the bowl gouge and trying to make the tenon a little bit smaller. And as I said earlier, trying to remove some material on the side and down the curve. I want this to be kind of a sleek bowl, not a robust bowl, but you'll see as we go here. But from about halfway to 2/3 down the bowl and around to the corner and down to the tenon is where I'm looking to remove some material. Okay, if you've made it this far in the video, thank you, and it would be awesome if you would click that thumbs up button. It helps my channel grow and continue to make videos, and it makes the YouTube algorithm very happy. So much appreciated, and thank you in advance. So I was using some Starbond CA glue to fill some very small cracks. That's what you saw me using along with the accelerator. I do have Starbond linked in the video description as well with a discount. And using a chuck to put this thing on the lathe. Still have a lot of work to do. And this was very hard turning. As I said, I picked the hard way to do things. Once I switched to the Carter & Son bowl gouge, that the larger one, it seemed to work better. And because this was such hard, dense wood, I used the Forstner bit a couple different times. And it might not seem like a lot, but it does help. And I don't know if you can tell on the video or not, but I did have some wobble, and it was making it difficult to get good cuts, or at least I was worried about the wobble. Not so much at breaking, but having even sides when it was finished. So I pulled up the tailstock, and that helped a little bit. It still wasn't perfect, but this was quite a large bowl too. It ended up being about 7 inches tall and 9 inches in diameter at the top. As you can see, it's pretty slow going. If I included all of the footage, we'd be looking at hours and hours. But as I said, patience is a virtue here. I stuffed it sharpened probably 6 times with this project, maybe even more, but at least 6. I used the Robert Sorby Pro Edge sharpening system. Some people have asked me how I sharpen. I used to have a CBN wheel, but I switched about a year ago to the Robert Sorby Pro Edge, and I'm very, very happy with it. I prefer it over even the CBN wheels. So as you can see, use the Forstner bit again a little bit when I could see a little bit better. And just continuing to get the wall thickness and the depth of the bowl down to where it makes sense. And the trick with something like this, because, you know, you're turning, you know, end grain a lot and also resin at the same time, so it can be challenging. You see me moving my hand a lot because it does hurt when it hits your hand. Not just the resin, but the wood when it's coming off of a tool like that close up. I do have a dust collector on. You can see, I think, a lot of the wood shaving is going towards there. And now for some sanding sealer. I apply 1 coat of sanding sealer. I use the Zinsser's brand. And I have it diluted 70 sealer and 30 denatured alcohol. And after that dried, I sand with some 320, and then I'm using a Scotch-Brite pad to make sure it's no fuzzies left behind. And then I'm on to the Axe abrasive paste. And I know I talk about it all the time, or it seems like I do in every video, but I also use it in just about every project, the Axe abrasive paste and polishing paste. And you can see the before and after for yourself, before I applied this and after I apply it, and what the wood looks like. So next up, the Axe polishing paste, as easy to use as it looks. Help support small business and companies that make things in the USA. Axe is made in Pennsylvania. Good old PA. And almost finished here, giving the camera a little close-up. Don't go anywhere though, I still have to remove the tenon and finish the bottom. So check out how I do that coming up. And with the pole saw, I'm removing what's left of the tenon. And then I will sand the bottom and use the branding iron. Don't go anywhere though, you'll get to see the beauty shots coming up. And these little sanding discs I will link in the video description. They're amazing, especially for projects like this. Now for some sealer on the bottom. And beauty shots coming up. This is the before. And this is the after. Thank you everyone for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, the bell notification so you don't miss any projects, and also the thumbs up button. So until next week, thanks everyone, and peace out.